I'm going to do it this way. We can do it this way. How do we feel about this as a team? Is everybody okay? Is everyone happy? Am I fulfilling those, those needs for everyone? But you can't walk into this situation thinking like, I'm going to do the work. And the work is simply like, okay, I need to find 2 girls, or I need to find 2 guys, or I need to find 2 partners. And we just all live happily ever after, because it may work for some, but it won't work for all. And a lot of it's just personal checkups, personal check-ins, it's personal growth.
Ooh, and she's back, and she's back, and she's back. Okay. And what it is, what it do with the mother effing whoop whoop. It is me, it is her, it is she, it is I, Miss Tamika Renee Bly, back with another episode on Uncomfortable Conversations. Today, I'm getting into, not spending too much time on threesomes, because when it comes to threesomes, it's either you're into it or you're not. But I'm getting into all things poly, okay? Polygamy, polyamory, polyandry, and I'm getting into BDSM. I also have a quote and an affirmation that's specifically geared toward this topic. But first, I want to start with, of course, I hope wherever you are in the world that you're in good spirits, and that if you're currently going through something, I hope that you get through it, and just know that this too shall pass. Bam. So I want to share a quick story first. Okay. There was a time back when I was a little young whippersnapper, I presented the idea to, first of all, let me back up. I was dating 2 men. This man offered me things that this man did not. And this man offered me things that this man did not. I wanted both of them, right? And I remember bringing it to one of the men's attention, like, how would you feel about being with me and me wanting to be with someone else as well? At the time, it wasn't poly anything for me. It was just, I like you, I like him too. And goddamn it, I want both of y'all. I don't know, you could say I thought I was the man in a sense, you know what I mean? The woman. But the first man I brought it to, he told me straight up, no, I'm all set, Tamika, because I don't want to share you. I said, all right, cool. Let me go to the other dude and see, where his mind is at. Same situation, brought the conversation up to him, and he said the exact same thing as the other guy. No, I want you for myself. I'm all set. So I'm like, okay. And I asked both of them why. Aside from you saying that you don't want to share me, what else is it? And one of them said, well, Tamika, in my opinion, the love that you have is not meant to be shared. You're a woman who's made for one man. And I'm like, well, I asked him at the time, how do you fucking know that? How do you know that I'm not supposed to be with him? You know what I mean? How did you know? It was just something, I guess he knew. It was a feeling. I don't know how he knew, but he was spot on. I found out later on in life. But him saying that to me, that, the love you give, the attention, your time, your patience, how much you care and stuff, nah. you need to give that to one solid man. And he told me, don't spread yourself around. I'm like, all right, I ain't trying to be no hoe. Yeah, I mean, but I tried. I did try, and it didn't work out for me. Now, into it. Welcome back to Uncomfortable Conversations. I'm gonna have to cut that part out because I tried to say it too fast and stumbled and grumbled and groaned and moaned and whatever. Welcome back to Uncomfortable Conversations. This episode is geared towards poly everything, BDSM, and threesomes. If you are uncomfortable with any of these topics, you don't have to tune in. You know what I mean? I will have some questions at the end that I would like to open up the floor to get feedback. First and foremost, I am no expert on any of these topics. I'm interested and curious, just like maybe you might be. Aside from having my own assumptions when it comes to polygamy or poly anything, and especially BDSM, I did my research because I wanted to see, I know the pros, you know, I wanted to dive more into the cons. And the reason I'm doing this episode specifically geared towards these topics is because I know a few people who are interested. I've been watching a lot of stuff, a lot of podcasts, a lot of shows that's geared towards poly, having conversations about it. And I don't know who else is interested out there, you know, and everyone has a view on how they feel when it comes to these topics, you know. My view, however, I'm okay with all of it. I'm okay with all of it. I may not want to partake in practicing any of these when it comes to poly. BDSM is a different thing. But when it comes to poly, like, there's no judgment here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna yuck your yum. If you like it, you like it. It's not for everybody. Oh, my son's coming in. Hey, son. How was school out? All right. Talk to you in a minute. So, the affirmation. One second, you all. Let me just, Okay. The affirmation is, I deserve to experience pleasure and intimacy. I deserve to experience pleasure and intimacy. One more time for the one time. Let me make sure my boy is all the way up so I can light my blunt. Okay. I deserve to experience pleasure and intimacy. And the quote is, sex is more than an act. It's an emotional connection. But we all know that. You know, many of us know that. That's a part of a big reason why now versus back then, because back then I was not actually grasping on to sex being more than just an act, you know. But this quote right here, and again, me just being a growing woman and learning and things like that, is the reason why I want to just be satisfied with one man, you know, because it's the energy It's the emotional connection. I'm not sure, like, if I could feel torn emotionally when it comes to me dating two men, I don't know how that will look for me actually being in something committed with two men. I don't know how that will look for me on the emotional side. So that's a part of the reason why I wouldn't do poly anything these days. But then I'm lying. But I'll get on to that. So, sex is more than an act. It's an emotional connection. Yeah, I rolled the shit out this blood. I have 3 polys, and I'm going to give the definitions of all of them, and then dive just a little bit deep into. I don't want the episode to be too long. So polygamy, the practice of being with more than one person. I'm sure we all know that. Polyamory is a non-monogamous relationship style where people have more than one romantic or sexual partners at the same time with the consent of all partners. So if I'm with you, I have to let you know if I'm going to sleep with him, and vice versa. We all got to be on board. Polyandry is when females marry or have relations with more than one male at the same time. That is what I wanted without the marriage, but that's what I wanted. I wanted polyandry back then, okay? And let me tell y'all, I was watching a podcast episode earlier, and it was monogamy versus poly. And it was a married couple. I believe maybe they were married 8 years. They're monogamy, right? And then the poly couple, they're married, I believe, 28 years. The wife has 4 husbands. The husband been married now, aside from the main wife of 28 years, he married his girlfriend. They've been married 3 years. But the wife has 4 husbands. And her husbands have partners, but I believe she said they're not allowed to like, they can talk to other people, but I don't think that they're allowed to actually bring a female in as a girlfriend. That's a lot. 4 husbands. But I'm not gonna yuck her yum, you know what I mean? So I asked my cousin, because I had some questions. So my male cousin was here, and I asked him, I said, so cuz, how do you feel about polygamy? And he said, at this point, I'm not with none of them. I'm just fucking all of them. Like, and this is why we open this up for discussion, because opinions are opinions. It doesn't mean they're wrong, you know, like, everyone's gonna look at it different. So that's how cuz looked at it. And then I had another question. And the question was, what if one, as far as polygamy, what if one woman requires more attention than the other? And I talked to a different male, asked the same question, and he said, well, it's always going to be like that. It's always going to be one who require more things from the man than the other woman. Okay. Then I said, okay, cool. But now when it comes to being intimate, I had a question of, what if you're with two, for the men who are into polygamy, who is like, oh yeah, I get to sleep with two women at the same time. I said, okay, what if you're with two women who are not into women, right? But you want it to be a situation where you can sleep with them at the same time, and possibly you might want them to sleep with each other. I don't know the dynamics of your poly situation, you know, because I had questions. Another question that I had was, as far as, now this is a woman who has two men, polyandry. How is it working as far as the bills, right? If there are children involved, are you showing the children that it's okay to live this lifestyle? You know, because again, I had questions, but the what ifs don't matter if all parties have the same understanding. Okay? As far as the children, though, it would be negligent exposure on the adult's behalf. Because I don't, in my heart of hearts, I don't feel that people who are in poly relationships is actually sitting their child down and saying, hey, what we're doing is the right way and you should do it this way. Like, I don't feel that, you know, that conversation is being had amongst children. I'm sorry, let me get comfortable. But the negligent exposure, though, yeah. Okay, so poly, everything, Amory, polygamy, it's legal in some countries and religions. Islamic, Hindu, and Christian countries practice it. So what I did was, I'm like, okay, because I don't want to, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't looking at these topics one-sided. So I wanted to jot down a list of things to consider, like, because you don't just wake up. Okay, I hope not. Shit. Just wake up and be like, hey, today I want to be with two men. You know? Today I want to be with two women. You know? I don't think people wake up and decide that's what they want to do. So, the things to consider that I wrote down was the openness, okay? Transparency, communication. First of all, one should be and has to be open to being into poly anything, right? There has to be transparency. You have to be able to understand, first of all, what you're getting yourself into. And the communication, of course, let's communicate and make sure that this is what we both want. Because if I want it and you don't, I'm going to have to find someone else who wants it just as bad as I do. Okay? Choice. Be sure that it's your choice and no one is coercing you into getting on their boat, you know, riding their wave or making it sound good. Make sure this is something you indeed want, because it's not for everybody. Consent. You have to have consent from everybody, because everybody has to be on board. You know, don't blindside me with a poly relationship that I'm not even aware of. No. Overreacting as usual, Diamond. Respect. There has to be mutual respect, because in poly anything you have to there's boundaries, right? You have to abide by the boundaries that's set for your relationship, because every poly relationship is not the same. You're gonna set it up in a way that it works best for you and your partner or partners. Again, I ain't no doctor. Shit, I just be doing my homework, y'all. And I asked the question of would I do it? Am I interested in to poly anything? And I already said in the beginning, the quote, sex is more than just an act. It's an emotional connection, and I yearn for the emotional connection with one man. That's that. And I'm a selfish lover now. And I want to give all my love, my time, my patience, etc., to one man. Okay? It was something else that I wanted to share. I'm sorry, you guys. I should have had it together. But I am not striving for perfection. Okay? Remember that, goddammit. Because my shit stinks just like everybody else. Alright. I also made a note that, and this was just me jotting stuff down, putting energy, okay, taking energy into consideration. Ultimately, this is why the things to consider, the communication and stuff is important, because the last thing you want while getting into a poly relationship is to get into a relationship with two people whose energies are not good. Because we all know how that works, with the energies. Bam. Also, too, I noted, for the people who, because there are some people who do it just because they feel like this may potentially spice up their relationship. I feel, because I don't know, I feel that if you are doing it solely to spice up the relationship, it's not going to work out in the way that it should, because you're not doing it for the right reasons. Threesomes, most people spice up their relationships with threesomes. I'm all set, but it's not gonna yuck your yum. Okay. I also was diving a little more deep, because I'm like, okay, bam. Let's say the single woman chooses to spice up her relationship, right? So she says to her man, let's go ahead and bring another woman in. He's excited. Oh shit, you serious, babe? I'm serious. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it. Said woman comes in, and let's say now this woman coming in opens up insecurities in the main woman that was not there before. The point I'm trying to make there is just do it for the right reason. Do it because this is something you want to do. And again, if it is to just spice up your relationship, still, be secure within yourself as a woman or a man. It can go both ways. before you want to bring someone else into your relationship, you know? Because if I'm putting myself in the situation now. If I was in a situation, I don't want to be racking my brain wondering, oh, he's gonna, she may be prettier than me, body may be better than mine, right? Let's just try that on for size. I don't want to be sitting down racking my brain trying to figure out if my man, he likes her more than me and all this stuff. No, be secure within yourself, know that, because it doesn't mean you're insecure because you want to bring somebody in. People do it all the time, and I know people who've done it and their relationship is still thriving. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying you're insecure by wanting to bring someone else in. Just make sure you're secure with yourself before you do that, because bringing someone else in might bring to the surface insecurities that you either probably thought you worked on, and it's come back up to surface. So make sure your shit's all together before you try to bring somebody else in, because that's how problems start. Again, I don't know everything, but I know some stuff. Alright, y'all. Alright. Bam. Another one. I was curious to know, where does one find people who are poly? I did some digging. Yes, I did. And you know what I found when I dug and I dig? I found that there are poly conventions. Okay? You might have already known that. There are poly meetups, groups on social media. They have kink conventions, KINK conventions, that I am so interested in going to. And she's going, okay? Boy, you ain't say nothing but a word. Yeah. So again, they have poly meetups. They have groups on social media. They have poly conventions, kink conventions. Bam, that's that. So now I wanted to dive into, okay, when it comes to monogamy and poly, I wanted to see what opinions were out there on that topic. And the one that I guess I'll say I thought was the most controversial was that being with one person creates codependency. And at first I was like, yeah, you absolutely right. Because I'm just with you. Who else am I gonna ask? Who else am I gonna depend on? And all that jazz, right? But then I said, hold up, let's try this on for size. Most people are in relationships with people who already was independent on their own. So when they come together, they're not necessarily looking to be dependent on you. It's just a matter of knowing that they can depend on you if and when that time came. I'm one of those people, right? So I can say that it's definitely some truth to that statement, but it can also go the other way. Because we all know a lot of people who are in monogamous relationships, and it works. It works. There's no rule book, people, to say how your relationship should be. excuse me, there's no rule book to say what the dynamics of your relationship should look like. It's your relationship. Okay? Like, make it how you want it. But, of course, we want the relationship to be a healthy, positive, drama-free one, you know? But I'm just saying, there's nowhere, no rule book. There's no book ever written to say, you're supposed to do it this way. That's another reason why I wanted to have this episode be based on these topics, because aside from me being non-judgmental, I understand and know that there is no right or wrong way to be or do in a relationship on a healthy aspect of being in a relationship. It's just, you know, how you see fit. Like, there's couples who every 3 months they go to swingers conventions or swinger parties rather, and they're okay. That works for them. We can't yuck everybody's yum. Like, if it's not for us, it's just not for us. There's a lot of things that I just won't get with. It's just not my speed. It's not my cup of tea. But I'm not here to judge you, because it's only one person that's the ultimate judge of us all, and that's the Most High. I'm not sitting here, not to frown my nose upon what it is you're doing and the lifestyle you're living. As long as it works for you and you're happy, most importantly, you know, you're happy, you're healthy in your relationship, I'm here for it. Oh, the blunt went out. 1 second. Okay. Another one that I seen, a statement that I seen that I thought was worth me bringing it up on here. It was said that poly is a sin and monogamy is unrealistic. I want feedback. Like, what do you think about that statement? Do you agree with it, and why? I had to sit and let this marinate for a second, because I'm like, if poly was such a sin, why is it legal in some countries and some religions practice it, if it's so much a sin? So that's where, like, I had to really sit and be like, nah. I wouldn't call it a sin. Just my opinion. Please don't come for me. Just my opinion. I personally would not call it a sin. It's just not applauded. It's not something that's applauded by everyone. And that too is okay, yeah? Monogamy is unrealistic. It's not unrealistic to be with one person. There are some people who like to some men have friendly penis. Some women have friendly vagina. Okay? And those are the ones who probably are unable to be with one person. I don't think it's quite unrealistic, because realistically we know that it works. It's been happening for years upon years upon years upon years. Another question to consider if you are trying to dive into poly anything: what does your poly relationship look like? Again, because your relationship is not going to be like hers, it's not going to be like his, it's not going to be like theirs. What does your poly relationship look like? As long as you have the consent, the communication, okay, the transparency, that all parties involved know that this is what it is and we're all on board, do you, boo-boo. Also, too, I wanted to add in, and I know that this is important. I wanted to add in that if you are someone who is looking to start a poly relationship with your partner, make sure that the foundation that you guys already have is solid. Because if you two are already going at it and not in a good place, it's not the right time to try to consider bringing someone else in. You know, work on y'all. Make sure y'all are good. I even think it's important to implement therapy when y'all are deciding to do this. Let's do a couples therapy. You know, maybe individual therapy. However it works for you. I'm not telling you what to do. I just like throwing shit out there. That's it, or whatever. That's it. That's it. Okay. Everybody you meet is not a potential partner. Remember that. Remember that, because the two men, they didn't want to share me. Whoop, whoop. Everyone you meet is not a potential partner. Also, are you committed? Because you can be into, let's say you like the idea of being in a poly relationship. You can't just like the idea of being in a poly relationship for 6 months. Is this something you are ready to commit yourself fully to? Okay. Educate yourself on it. Articles, books, podcasts. Be with like-minded people who also are entertaining or have entertained the thought of a poly relationship. Okay. I also wrote down that I feel that check-ins while in a poly relationship is important. Check-ins in a relationship, period. But in the poly, because there's 3 of y'all, it's 3 different personalities, and or 4 or 5 or 8. I don't know how that works for you, right? But the check-ins are important. And also remembering that you guys are on the same team. You're on the same team. It's all of us. It's not just one of us when it comes to poly relationships. Okay, that's that on that. Also, the last thing I wanted to add was the feedback from family and friends when you've disclosed that you are into poly relationships. Does it matter? If there are children involved, in my humblest opinion, it should matter. If it's just you and your partner, yeah, you ain't gotta tell your family and friends shit. Especially if you know. Hold on. Because rewind. I would indeed tell a few of my family and friends if I decided to go that route again. I didn't really fulfill it the first time, but whatever. If you know that you have a group of friends and family members who are judgmental, they don't need to know. Because if we based our life on the opinions of our loved ones and how they felt and what they thought about what we did when it comes to our personal lives, a lot of us would probably be alone. Okay? So for that, I say, do you. As long as you're happy, your partner is happy, your partners are happy. People gonna talk. Whether you doing something good or not, we know that. Do the fuck you. Shit, and that's that on that. I'm gonna get into the last one, which is BDSM. Okay? BDSM. Bondage, dominance, submission. Let me say it right. Masochism. Let me go to Google real quick. Hold on. I just like to be sure. Masochism. Or is it chism? Let's... Masochism. Oh! I'm just saying I halfway got it right. Masochism. BDSM is bondage, dominance, submission, and masochism. Bondage is, if we're not into BDSM, I'm going to define what every word means. Bondage, being tied, handcuffed, restrained. Dominance, exerting power or control over your partner. Submission, willingly submitting power or control to your partner. Masochism, finding pleasure in being subjected to pain. So, when it comes to the B in BDSM, first of all, I'm into BDSM. I am. She's guilty. She is. But it's certain aspects of BDSM that I'm into. The bondage, the being tied, the being restrained, the being handcuffed, even blindfolded. I'm here for that. Okay? I had an experience with bondage. It was the under the bed restraints. So, I'm like this, and my feet are like that too. So I'm just here with it. And it was a fun time. It was fun. It was all right. I'm gonna leave that right there. The dominance. Not everybody is willing to have the power or give up the power. So that's on you. You'll know whether you're dominant or submissive. As far as the masochism, the finding pleasure in being subjected to pain, everyone's pain level is different. If you are into BDSM, I don't know if that includes clamps and paddles and whips and all that. I don't know. I'm not going to yuck your yum. That's not for me. I don't get pleasure from being in pain. I'm lying. Excuse me. I'm fibbing. But the type of pain that I get pleasure from is not like whips and nipple clamps and things like that. It's I'm not gonna talk about it because I don't get myself all worked up. And with BDSM, there are safe words. You have to have a safe word. There has to be boundaries. Because again, there's BDSM is levels. Educate yourself on that. I'm just trying to speak on like the surface stuff. There's levels. The two that I'm most familiar with is the breath play and the impact play. The impact being spank and stuff like that. The breath play is just, controlling your breathing and just certain. Hold on. Because I want to make sure I'm saying it right. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Ooh. Make sure I'm saying it right. Ooh. She want to make sure she's saying it right. Yes. She want to breath play. Just to make sure I'm saying it right. I'm sorry. Intentionally cutting off the air supply. I've done that to a man before. Of course, he didn't die, but just, you apply the right amount of pleasure, of pleasure, of pressure, Tamika. The right amount of pressure. Yeah. What I did do research on is if there were potential benefits of a BDSM relationship. And what I found was it can reduce stress and trigger biological effects similar to the Zen feeling you have when you're meditating. It said that it can improve sexual relationships. It can deepen trust. It may improve your mental health. And I mean, because, another day make the stress go away is what they say. I would have to honestly say that as far as improve the sexual relationship and giving you that Zen feeling and maybe improving your mental health in a sense, I agree. I agree with those. Because first of all, if aside from the BDSM, if your relationship is already a healthy, happy one, and you and your partner are diving into different things and experimenting with different things and seeing what works for y'all, what you like, what he don't like, what's too much, what's not enough, to incorporate a great sexual, intense, beyond pleasurable sexual relationship, hey, yeah, I can see how that may have some effects when it comes to improving your mental health. I can see how that should give you a Zen feeling. Like, first of all, busting a nut feels great. Okay? The closest thing the closest thing in my humble opinion that feels equivalent to a good orgasm is when my ear's itching and I gotta hit it with one of these and then the eyes roll. You know what I mean? Like, having a great orgasm is the bomb.com. Having an out of body trembling, shaking, okay, toes curling, eyes rolling in the back of your head. You have to remember to breathe. Orgasm is fucking phenomenal. Now, I'm not saying that you should get into BDSM. But I'm also not saying that if you were open to it, it wouldn't be a bad thing to get into with your partner. Just figure out what works for you. Again, I wanted to speak on these things because I know a few people who are curious in the topics. I, not knowing back then again that I was indeed curious in polyandry, and knowing that I've experienced with BDSM, I wanted to also talk about it. Again, I'm not here to say, hey, everybody needs to jump on board with this. But at the same time, I, coming from a non-judgmental place, just wanted to rather highlight the things I thought is important when you are considering these things, because again, no one is waking up tomorrow and saying, I want to be in a poly relationship. I want to get into BDSM. What is your level of freak like for real? Let's get into that. Okay? Okay? Because yeah, you want it, but when you get it, you're like, oh, what do I do? Do I do it like that? Do I do this? Like, no, you have to know what you're getting into. If you do it the right way, it can be fun. It can be pleasurable. It can smiling from ear to ear if you do it the right way with the right person or persons. It can be a great time. So again, am I trying to push this on you? No, I'm not. I'm also educating myself more on the topics that I once was interested in and still interested in as far as the BDSM part go. I still very much want to give all of me to one solid man. But I thank y'all for tuning in. That's all I got. That's all I got. Ow. That's all she got. Ow. That's all she got. Bam. That's all I got for today. It's the holiday. I know I already did the holiday blues, but if at this time you are missing a loved one who's passed on, do something that brought that loved one joy. Be in your bag. Be in your feelings for a little while. Don't stay there. Get up and do something. Smile. You still got breath in your body. And just know that although those that have passed on is not here in the physical, they're still here in the spiritual. And you're going to be okay. And I thank you guys for tuning in. What it is, what it do with the whoop. Whoop. It is me, it is her, it is she, it is I, Miss Tamika Renee Bly with Uncomfortable Conversations. Like, subscribe, share. Tell a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You can follow me on Instagram at Uncomfortable Conversations, POD at the end. You can follow me on Facebook. It's my real name, Tamika Bly. Timeka. Capital BLY. And until next time, I'm going to holler back on the holler back, and y'all take care. I'm out.